and just learning that, shucks, man, like my dad actually turned out pretty well for the kind of father that he actually had. So he actually did better. His better is really bad, but he did better.
Wow.
Right? And that affords me the empathy to give the grace.
Yeah.
So now we are going to judge the 20-year-old you. You know, no one is stopping to give attention to this 5-year-old
you, bro.
that just wanted attention from his parents. You know, and they were too busy fighting each other.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. Before we get into this episode, just a couple of things to bring to your attention. Number one, shout outs to everybody who's been buying us coffee. Hey, yeah, you guys, hey, you've energized us. Hey, we've been popping coffees the whole week. Yeah, preparing even for this interview. Even our guest, we took away what he was drinking. Friends that we don't endorse. We're gonna give him some coffee. So shout outs to you guys for supporting us in that regard, man. Again, if you found value from this content that we make, there's a link in the comment section that you can click. You can buy us 1, 2, or 3 coffees so that we can continue making more of this content. Number two, if you're planning an event and you're looking for an MC, somebody who's going to be the face and the voice of your event, who's going to carry your message and make sure that your vision comes to life. Whatever it is, church conference, it's a wedding, it's a corporate affair, it's a party, whatever it is that you're putting on, please do consider booking me as your MC at booking@blacknewborn.com. That is booking@blacknewborn.com. The husband that's sitting across from me today, we ain't got no table because our cinematographer wants to be creative. Maybe it's the jackets. I don't know. Torch, what up, dog?
What up, bro?
You good, bro?
I'm good, man.
Good, man. I feel like I'm chilling with a star.
Why? I feel like
look
I'm
at that
with a
chain,
star.
Yeah.
Look at that bracelet.
Yeah. Bro, where that bracelet, bro? You good, my dog?
I'm good, bro. I mean, I'm
Good,
a lot
man.
of things. Good
Yeah?
is one of them.
Yeah. Bro, thanks for pulling through, man. For some people who follow us might know who you are because you left some deep comments on an episode. You were seeking for violence.
Oh, no.
But anyway, we'll get into the violence, bro. Before we get into that, if you're new to our podcast, we have this resource that we're compiling, a book where we're putting husbands' names in and their stories, husbands who are failing forward, who are taking accountability, husbands who inspired us to get married or even stay married. And this is a resource we're going to make available for husbands who are lonely, don't have the benefit of a brotherhood or a community that they're walking with, of other husbands, or guys who are single who don't find any value in being married anymore. And so we want to say, hey, listen, there's actually husbands who are doing amazing things. No superheroes, not perfect in any stretch of the imagination, but dudes who are really showing up, loving their wives, being present to their kids, whenever they fall in their faces, which is probably 85% of the time, right? Yep. They get up, they dust themselves, they own up to their mistakes, and they're like, yo, I'm going to take responsibility for this calling that I have of being a husband. So, yeah, we do that, and we compile this book by asking our guests, who are the husbands that inspired you to get married or stay married, bro? 2 of them.
2 husbands.
Yeah.
Let me think. I mean, one definitely is Langa.
Mm-hmm.
Langelihle Mbonambi. Mabodla.
Come on now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's just like one of those blanket inspirations in life.
Yes.
And I guess marriage was a huge part of his life also.
Sure.
You know.
He just hit 15 years now.
Yeah, bro.
That's big.
It's big, man.
It's major.
Like,
that's half your life.
Bro, I never used to think it was that big and stuff, but it's so big. It's a long time, and 15 years is a long time. So yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely one.
What particularly about Langa in his marriage?
I guess, man, because he was just very like open with it, open with, like, I think he's just one of the guys that tried to give a very realistic view of what it is you're about to get yourself into.
Sure.
You know, and I remember, like, one of the things that he would always like emphasize, you know, it'd be like, yeah, you know, like this sex that you are chasing is going to be a prayer point in your marriage.
Come on.
You know, as in, don't idolize that thing, bro. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, when you're unmarried, that's like, it's just like, that's stupid. Why?
Yeah.
Which husbands are you? What? You know? But he really tried to kind of like let us in, you know, guys that, you know, he was working with, just let us in to like, you know, just like an unfiltered view of his life, you know, which I feel like is very scarce to get like just an honest depiction of what it is that happens. Because I guess, you know, church is a very like act 1, scene 2, you know. It's very, all the way from the pastors comes down. So it's very weird, even when you, let's say, attend a church and you can see that, no, man, this pastor here is not joking. He's not playing around. It's weird and unfamiliar. Sure. Because the norm, we know the norm. We know how to get into character, you know. Yeah, man, it's like when you go to work, you've got your corporate self. Yep. So I feel like then
corporate voices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And nothing from my side. Yeah. You know, so it's like, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm great. The Lord is good. Yeah. God bless you. Oh, grace. Yeah. You know, like we download that lingo there from Bethel and Elevation.
Bro.
Nothing against Bethel and Elevation.
Christianese.
But yeah, just like, and it's taught to us, and sometimes it's like, you know, not taught to us, but we just see it. You know, we see it from parents who go to church and who act a different way in church than they do at home, right? And then we're like, clearly that place is a place where you need to put on a jacket. Like there's a church jacket that you put on when you go to church, you know, and then when you're back, you take that thing off and we start swearing you from your mother down, you know, and you're just like, what is happening here? You know, so it's learned behavior, you know, to be fake,
bro. So shout out to Langa
bro.
To not being,
he really tried,
right, bro. Yeah.
Even though I learned once I was inside that it's one of those things, man, that you kind of like, you need to be inside.
You learn on the job.
It's like a pool. When someone dives in, they're like, how cold is it? It's not that cold. You put in a toe. Yeah. And some of us, the toe is like sex. Yeah. You put in a toe. And you're just like, I can do this every day, guilt-free. Man, this is nice. It's not that cold. Yeah. But it's only when you're inside.
Hey, bro.
Where you're just like, what did you mean? It's not that bad. Then they're like, no, just stay here. It gets warm.
Or your body just adapts.
Yes. Don't worry.
The pool stays cold.
But you need to stay inside. If you come out.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, what an analogy. Actually. It's hitting me. Yeah. I'm just like, if you come out, you're going to freeze.
You're going to freeze, bro.
So it's cold in here, but stay in here. Rather stay here.
Your body
will acclimatize.
Hey, it's adjusting.
After a while, then, you know, when people ask you and you've been here for a while, they're like, how is it? Oh, it's not that bad. It's a bit cold in the beginning, but it's fine now. Because you are warm. You've been here.
That's dope, bro. We got married around the same
on the same day.
The same day, bro.
Yeah.
22nd of March.
22nd of March, 2014.
Yeah. That's wild, bro.
It's like
maybe that's why we're wearing the same jackets, dog.
Happy 10 years.
I need the hair. That's wild, bro.
It is wild, actually.
Yeah, we got married the same day.
and I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Look at us, bro.
Clearly we're not.
No, listen. The pool is cold. Stay in your pool. You understand this.
Yeah, but I remember when I actually started seeing it, I was like, this is so cool. Hey, we share.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty dope.
Nah, it's dope, bro. The second husband.
Second husband, let me think. Look, I mean, not to also waste time. The second person that comes to mind is a boy of mine, Jules. Look, Jules and Lang, same WhatsApp group, really.
Sure.
Because, they were like my elders. So we went from mentors to like friends.
Sure.
But, I guess there's still like that mentorship element. But he was also just one of the guys that would just like, try to give us advice. His advice is just like, look, like, don't do it. Don't do it right now.
Yeah.
Like, go work.
Yeah.
Because these Hans will say they don't care about money, but they care about money.
Yeah.
So go work.
Go work.
Yeah, but he was also one of the guys. I think what was inspiring is also just like, you're in varsity, everyone's like living their lives, everyone's like having a good time.
Sure.
Here are these guys that are taking time out, they married, some are starting families, but they're taking time out to kind of like be here for you and give you their time and let you into their world and all of that stuff. So that was really dope. And you look at them and you're just like, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
Man, because I think marriage is one of those things I never really thought, like always wanted to do, wasn't really sure if I was going to do it.
Sure. Sure.
But it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, man, this is my thing. I'm going to do this. But the bag, man, that monkey on your back, that's like, not you, dog. This is not for you.
Hey.
This is like hard labor work.
We need to dissect that monkey and find out the anatomy of this monkey. What? Shucks, bro.
Yeah.
No, that's dope, man. Appreciate you for that, man. And shout outs to those dudes. In fact, so Jules, Langer were guests. David as well. And those dudes are also in the book.
Not Julius Bakunzi.
Which one?
Julius Sikuza. So Julius Bakunzi I also met along life as well. But
another Jules.
Julius Sikuza. He was on the UJ campus with us.
Dope, bro. Yeah. I nearly gave you the wrong Jules, bro.
Yeah, you nearly gave the wrong Jules props. But look, Jules deserves props.
Give Jules gems, bro. So maybe to correct that, Langa and
Julius Sikuza.
And David, who's been a guest here, went into the book. So it's I think for me, just even having those guys that I just mentioned now as guests and having their names in the book, just encourages me to continue making more of this content, bro.
Man.
It's like a full circle moment. And hopefully somebody's gonna put your name in this book soon enough.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Bro.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it, man. And maybe a disclaimer here. This is just a chat.
Yeah.
It's a convo. If you see the title, that's
homies,
the first word.
Two homies chatting
that you see. So we're not trying to give a dissertation.
No.
We're not writing. We're not studying a master's.
No.
We're not professors. No. so if you come at us with that energy, it's on you.
Just know that you're not gonna get a reply.
Yeah. It's on you. So we here, man. But I think it was episode 4. Langa was on, and he made a comment that we, never actually get into the conversation around what the effects of apartheid did to the black family.
Yeah.
And obviously, we particularly thinking about the husband, and there's a lot that can be said around, how fathers were dispossessed, moved, ripped apart from their families.
Yeah.
And that has, some long-lasting consequences and effects. And so he mentioned that, and then the comment section was lit.
It was fire. It was fire.
Yeah, it was lit, bro. And part of the people that threw fire or threw gasoline into the fire, it came with a paraffin.
Look,
Was you, bro? How did that conversation play out in your own life, bro?
the one in the comments.
Yeah. So you sitting here as a product of a history of husbands,
Yeah.
fathers, men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that was part of my commenting was also just feeling like I don't think it's also wise to block out, because sometimes we are at different places in our walks, right?
Yeah.
And let's say person A who was commenting is at a certain place, maybe is in a better place, higher, lack of better words, further in their journey, right? And now because you're further, then you're like, hey, man, but actually at some point we need to stop this,
Sure.
right? But for a person who's entering, they shouldn't stop it. They actually need to trace it so that they can actually find out that, shucks, man, this is the journey that my family took, and I'm a product of this journey. And some of the things that don't make sense to me right now, like some of these behaviors, I see where they come from.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that that's been such a blessing, over the past couple of years, just being able to, and I mean, I was sad because a lot of this started after I lost my dad.
Sure. Sure.
And just looking at how I could have had such an amazing relationship with my dad and I didn't, and how that kind of like affected my life in a way that I didn't know, till I, started thinking about all this and caring about it.
Sheesh. How old were you when that happened?
My dad passed away in 2021. Yeah. But like even then we're like in a rebuilding phase, like just relationship wise from like late varsity.
Sure.
But yeah, man, like, look, I think I started reading up a lot about like Black history, and just how war is intended. Like there's one goal in war,
Sure.
which is victory.
Sure.
Yeah. So like now in the war for, let's say, South Africa, whether it's the Dutch, it's the British, whether it's the natives, everyone wants to win, right? And then the rules of engagement, right, in terms of how we fight, will also determine the outcome, right? Yep. And I found that like things like apartheid, apartheid, Jim Crow, it's all the same.
Yep.
It's all a war tactic, with years of research and tried and tested, because it's not like the Dutch came and, tried out their war tactics here.
Sure.
They were like taking them from somewhere where they had worked, So for me, like when I started reading like on like like when the Dutch took over from, I think, the British, right? And then they put in all these like apartheid laws, and like how that was over some years, right? And then you look at, like, I forgot, I could be wrong, I read this somewhere, but it was like from like the 1940s or somewhere there, till like the 1970s, 80s, whatever, like those apartheid laws displaced about 30 million non-white families.
Sheesh, bro.
30 million non-white people. Bro, and I was just like, bro, that is insane.
It's half of our population now.
Right now.
Yeah.
But then our population was less even.
Yeah.
Right? Like the 1913, when they started putting in these laws, I think it's like Land Act or whatever. They moved like the vast majority of the black population, right, into 8% of the land.
Yeah.
They went and they packed you guys up like sardines.
Yeah.
Right? In the outskirts of anything that looked like a major city, or that it could potentially be a major city, because they didn't want you inside, away from the railroads. They didn't want you disturbing the economy or being part of the economy without their say-so, you know?
You just needed to be a tool. Yeah.
Right? And then, like, for me, it's like when you read about all that stuff and you read about migrant labor, you know, there was a stint I did when I started working. I was working for a gentleman named Bernard Swanepoel. Great guy. He would go into mines, like old mines, buy up old mines and like try to refurbish them and stuff. And a lot of these dying mines, they still had value. That's why they would buy them up.
Yeah, sure.
But he would change up a lot of the culture, which is racism. So we'd go in, be like interns and kind of like gather intel. You know, and then kind of like get feedback, whatever. But bro, you'd get into these mines, and I remember going to the mine, this other mine close to home. I think it was called Consmerch. And, you know, we're having a chat. So we then would have chats with just the miners, right? Bro, and you just, first they're scared of talking. Yeah. Because, you know, they're just protecting their bag. Yeah. You know, and they're afraid that you're going to go and rat them out. Then after, when they kind of like maybe get a bit comfortable or whatever, then they start talking. And then you realize that, man, this is horrible. Here's a guy who's all the way in Gravelot in Limpopo. But this guy is actually from the Eastern Cape.
Shucks, bro.
You know, he went to Joburg. Joburg worked a bit, didn't work out. Then he moved to Nelspruit, and then he found himself that side. Why? It's just chasing the bag and moving where the money is, because you're just trying to, like, you know. And this guy lives in a hostel, you know. This is a 40-something-year-old man that had been at that specific mine for about 20-something years.
No way.
He still lives on a bunk bed, right? And he was like, you know, I've been teaching my white counterparts the job when they come in. Some of them, they are kids. When their father started, they weren't born. I watched their kids grow to come and be my manager here in this mine. And I'm just like, all this emasculating that happens here. When that man goes back to his family, like,
if he does go back,
do you understand? What kind of father must he be? When he eventually does that once a year thing that he do, like, so I'm Tsonga. So at home, right? The guys that work in Joburg, that come back, Magaisa, they come back in December with treats.
Yeah.
You know, well, it's evolved over time because now it's coming back with Verpaz.
Hey, bro.
Right. But it was
I went to a wedding in Limps in December. The amount of GP cars that were there.
Yeah, no, it's the
I was driving probably the cheapest car. The amount of Mercs and Beamers and Jeeps. I was just like, damn, bro.
Like, it's insane, bro. And for me, sorry, just to step out a bit. Like, I used to be the guy, for example, that I would look at like Americans and think, man, these guys are foolish. Look at y'all working 3 jobs. And then the new Jordan is dropping and y'all are sleeping outside the store to buy a 3,000 Rand shoe. Yeah. But you're barely surviving, bro. You know, like, it felt like, how can a whole nation of people be this blind? Right? And then you actually, like,
you grow up.
You no, like, I started reading a bit of their history. And like, I remember this one thing I was watching, and the guy was like, yeah, you know, a lot of people don't understand where even like Sunday's best comes from. Where it's like, you know, Sundays were the days where the slave masters would take their slaves to church with them. So they had one good outfit for Sunday. And bro, if you are you're picking cotton, you're living in filth, you look forward to Sunday. And that became their generational curse that the way you look matters more than anything, right? Then for me, it's very like downright offensive.
Yeah.
For you to look at it and say, that is so stupid, without context.
Yes,
the outworking of it, but that's the victory of the war, because it's a war. And victory is for you to focus on that while I focus on other things.
Yeah.
And then by the time you realize that, shucks, I've been focusing on the wrong thing.
Sure.
I'm like 200 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
Right? I've made laws that actually, I mean, this is what we cry about in this country. Oh, we don't have political freedom, because they gave you something that looked shiny, focused on that shiny thing. You focused on, okay, now there's opportunity. I can go migrant labor, go to Joburg, make this money. And not understanding that all of that stuff would break down your family unit, right? Now you are here, you're not here. Now you are burdening your wife with being a father and a leader in the household.
Yeah.
She doesn't know, like her and all the other women in the village are just trying to make Jew. And then you go to Joburg, and then there are other people in Joburg who are just like, hey man, there are men here for us. We're gonna also, we need to survive.
Yeah.
You know, then this man who has a family in the Eastern Cape will now become my man as well.
Yeah.
You know, now it's just multiple families that you are managing with this little shiny thing that was
Bro.
presented to you.
Bro.
You're focusing on this. They are building, they are taking all this wealth, and then they're like, okay, cool. Actually, what we did to you was wrong. Like you guys.
But it's
need
400
to be
years
free.
later now.
Yeah. But now we've put in so many laws in place that it's almost impossible to catch up. And that's why when I'm like, how long do we blame it? What do you mean? Like how long is it going to take to undo?
Yeah.
That's the math if you want math.
Sure.
Like how long is it going to take us to undo the damage?
Sure.
Because that's how long we blame them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not easy. And yeah, man, ANC this, ANC that. Like I understand. But also you need to understand that even there, you're dealing with people who, through apartheid, they had their own dreams and goals of this country and what it would look like. And then now, when afforded the opportunity, they realized that, shucks, man, we're knocked at the knees. We actually don't have any power, right? So what do I do? Get mine.
Yeah.
And that's the spirit. It's like, I get mine.
Yeah.
Any which way.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm
Sheesh,
like,
bro.
you blame them, but you understand them, you know? And for me, the power of context is empathy.
Yeah.
Because you need empathy.
Yeah.
Like without empathy, how do you give grace?
Sure.
You understand?
Sure.
Like, so for me, even like I was saying that for me, like the past few years, just like learning a lot of history, like family history, learning about my grandfather, like the kind of person my grandfather was, because I didn't build that relationship with my dad where I could just get all this info.
Yeah.
A lot of it, I'm getting it now when I'm old. And just learning that, shucks, man, like my dad actually turned out pretty well for the kind of father that he actually had. So he actually did better. His better is really bad, but he did better.
Wow.
Right? And that affords me the empathy to give the grace.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even with my mom, I'm just like, man, I look at her and I'm like, man, what a hard woman. Like, what a hard, cold woman. You know, but then I, like, slowly I'm getting to get like a small picture of her upbringing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
like, I feel sorry for her.
Sure.
Like, she never got to be a child. She does not relate with you being me. She doesn't relate with me and my childish problems because at 12, she was already taking care of her siblings. She was the mom, you know. Why? Because her dad was living it up in Pretoria, migrant laboring, but not actually even like sending money home, taking care of his family and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But now her having to be hard and cold and, you know, like grow up before she's meant to grow up, right, affects the way she parents.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I am this emo kid who, you know, like I'm this emo kid who needs love and affection and attention.
Inkinga yenu ukuthi nilaleli rock. Inkinga yenu. We take you to schools. Nibuya nithi yo mom.
Exactly. Yo, I remember the one time I got in trouble because I called my parents. I said to my parents, "You guys."
Yeah.
They're just like, "Guys, Iman, guys, say it, the guys."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "No, what it means is you people."
Yeah. West.
Yo,
West.
like Madelela, say me,
West.
me the guys, you know. But
Sheesh,
yeah,
bro.
man, like I'm this emo kid, right?
Yeah.
I remember sitting in group therapy and we're speaking about this thing that, you know, like the analogy the one guy gave was, you know, sometimes like you are in a beat up Corolla, you know, and you need to get away. And even if you floor that thing, the fastest it will go is 100.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes what you actually need as a child growing up, your parent is that beat up Corolla.
Yeah.
That
Can only
the
get up
most
to
they
100,
can give
bro.
you is what they've given you. Right? And that will cause issues, you know. And learning their context helps you understand that, shucks, there is a problem, but I understand that the problem is not them. They gave me all they could give. I needed more, and I need to work on myself, on the parts that they were unable to give.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm that emo kid that needs the love and attention and all of that stuff, right? And I'm like, man, my mom's not here to give it.
Sure.
My dad's not around.
Sure.
You know, he's also migrant laboring somewhere, you know. Then I'm like, okay, where am I going to get it?
Yeah.
Like generally, the first kind of place that opens itself up to give it to you, you take.
Yeah.
For most guys, it will be women.
Yeah.
Then you're just like, oh, this is a source of some form of validation and affection, right? And that becomes the well you draw from for the rest of your life. You want, because life has a tendency of helping you reinforce
Yes.
things that already exist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then you go about your life reinforcing this thing, and you're just like, man, now you're 40 and you're just like, actually, the right well is Jesus. But how do I undo what I know?
Sure.
Because this is all I've known.
Sure.
You know, with some people it will be like friends and like that brotherhood from gangs and you know, like, and it's just like, it's so insane how like when I sit in group therapy and like different guys from different backgrounds, blacks, whites, colors, and it's like we all have the same cry of that 4-year-old, 5-year-old that could not get what they needed from their parent. And therefore they got it elsewhere. Someone else, like you said, you know, something will occupy the space. Something will feed the hunger. You know, something will fill the void when there's a void. You know, and yeah, man, I think for me, man, like it has made me a bit paranoid. So it's part of why I homeschool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man.
We need to get into
I
that.
homeschool my kids, man. Like, because I'm just like, man, this world is fragile, bro.
Sure.
The things that I remember seeing in high school, you know, things being done to other kids, me participating in things.
Sure.
Bro, like I was telling a friend of mine the other day, like there's this guy, man, called Chris from back home. Like, bro, we were in primary school and I can't even remember where that thing came from. We used to call him a witch. And then there was that drama on TV called Kibona Muloi, right? And you know how that thing, that's what we were watching, you understand?
So somebody just woke up and decided to call Chris a witch, bro.
But I don't even know where it started. But I remember this one day, bro, like half the school, primary school.
No, that's when
half the school,
the worst of who we are.
Chris.
Half the school.
With
bro.
tires, with those bins from those.
Where are the
those
teachers?
ash bins. Bro, it's break time. We are running, busy saying, ban.
No way.
Bro, I won't forget. He ran to the office, and then the principal came out, and then he stood behind the principal. He's frightened.
Obviously.
And then the principal is looking at us like like, what's happening?
Shucks.
And then we're like, we want to ban him. And I'm just like, I wonder
A bunch
what
of grade 3-year-olds, bro. Grade 3-year-olds.
4, 5, 6, 7.
I mean,
It's
8-year-olds, 9-year-olds.
9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds.
You in grade 3, grade 4.
Bro, we want to ban him. And it was funny. Bro, I can
wild,
tell you
though.
right now that the trajectory of that guy's life.
That is what changed.
I look at it now and I'm just like, bro, that it wouldn't have turned out the way it did, bro, if it wasn't for us.
Wild.
You know? And that's the vulnerability of children, right? And like, we know like the history of school. The history of school actually was marketplace.
Yeah.
Build schools to create employees.
Sure.
Right? Like, you know that, like, man, you're supposed to raise up your own kids, bro. And I just realized that I was not doing that. I was just like, man, like, this is not happening for me.
Sure.
And like, my kids might seem fine. Like all kids, Chris probably looked fine to his parents, you know, till he was not, and it was too late for them to have an impact on who he's gonna become, you know, because we're sending you to school, and which, by the way, I'm not saying in judgment, because
sure.
that's all they can do. That's all they have capacity for, bro. Like, send you to school. Like, I'm not sleeping. I'm here all the way from the Eastern Cape. I'm out in Limpopo to get some money so I can send you to school.
Yeah.
Like,
I still need
man,
to
what
send
more
some
do you
money
want?
back home.
Yeah, what more do you want from me? I'm sending you to school. You know,
Good schools.
a good school. Country, you are being damaged.
Damn, bro.
Like, majorly at that school. You know, so I think it has made me a little bit paranoid. You know, where I just feel like, man, I need to like be involved, like with my kids, like kind of like protect them. You know, like I mean, I know it was very tough explaining that to the parents, because they just believe in school and just like, why aren't your kids going to school? It's slightly better now because they are just seeing okay, your kids can read. They're not stupid. But still, what's gonna
why aren't they
happen
going
later,
to school? Yeah.
You know, but
how are they going to get him a trick?
Yeah.
It's
Like, so for me,
that stuff is figured out.
yeah, man. Like, I think for me, it was just like, kids are so fragile. And like, at some point, they need to be sent out into the world. But I realized, like, I mean, I was having a chat with my brother the one time, and he was just like, bro, the world is harsh.
Yeah.
And you can't protect your kids forever.
Sure.
At some point, they actually need to go face the world.
In the world, yeah.
And I'm just like, that is true. But I feel like the weight of being a parent is also knowing when to send them out to this dark world.
Yes.
Like, and making sure that you do the work, bro. So that your kids aren't caught off guard. A lot of us were caught off guard, man. You're just going to school, having fun with your friends. Next thing, one kid rocks up there with a porn magazine.
Coming from their own damaged situation,
like, I found
bringing
it
back
under
into the school.
my father's bed.
Yes.
You're just like, hey, this is
That's
bro,
your introduction to the rest of your life that you need to undo as you get older.
Like, I had these friends.
Sheesh.
They found a...
Hey, sorry to interrupt your viewing. We will shortly get back to that episode because obviously there's a lot of dopeness in there, right? But before we go back there, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're updated on all the episodes that we are dropping, right? Here's the thing. There's a lot of value. There's a lot of gems. There's a lot of dopeness that comes out of this. What do we want to do? We want to bless you with more dopeness, give you more gems, right? And with that, check out what's coming out next week.
The person who's abusing, whether the wife or the husband or the girlfriend or the boyfriend, they're trying to build their kingdom so that everybody worships them. Now, I tend to want to be worshipped, right? It doesn't mean I'm an abuser, right? So we've always got to be checking those things, but it's a good call in our hearts to go, sure, am I trying to get my will done in my house all the time?
Sure.
Right? But when I'm using manipulation, force, using mind games, I'm using fear to consistently make sure that I am worshipped and my needs are met, then we're looking at abuse.
Like, I had these friends.
Sheesh.
They found a porno mag, wherever they found it. Then they took it They ripped out pages. They came to my house.
They came to your house.
Jumped the fence, went into my window and threw in like 5 pages of like naked women.
Effort.
Bro, luckily I'm the one who goes to my bedroom first. I just see all this porno pictures all over my room. They found that funny, right? I was just like, I could have gotten in trouble, you know, but that was funny back then. Then
That's
they left.
wild, bro.
They only told me the next day at school. Like,
But the
to
effort,
find the effort,
to jump their fence,
right?
open the window.
But now I'm left with these pictures.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, do I throw them away or do I just hide them under my mattress and have access to them?
I'll watch them later.
Right? Then that's the introduction to
You
porn.
in? Yeah.
And now you're in.
Yeah.
And now what was a joke
Yeah.
will now follow me for the next
the rest of your
25
life,
years.
bro. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Sure.
And I'm just like, man, this is horrible. You know? So for me, it was just like, I want to set my kids up, man. I want to try my best so that, man, when they do go into this world and they discover these things, they know that, shucks, man, this is actually not something I should be participating in. This does not align with me.
Sure.
I know who I am because kids are fragile, bro.
Yeah.
They don't know who they are. Like when my kids started interacting with other kids, like playing soccer, I started taking them to like this club to play soccer. Like they would come back and be like, man, this kid, like Torch. So they used to call me Torch like this. Torch. Like he's just always saying bad words.
Yeah.
And bro, that kid, I remember one day I was parked there.
Yeah.
And like he'd get tackled and he'd just be like, F you.
Wow.
And he's
How
like
old is he?
5, bro.
Nice.
He's pulling zaps at everyone.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
And then you're just like, man.
What's going on at home?
Bro.
What's
And
going
then
on
I
at
watched
home?
him getting picked up the one day. His parents were having an argument about whose day it was. So I figured that they were split.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and yo, bro, I felt for that kid, man.
Yeah,
I was just like, the way they engage each other was like really painful to watch.
Yeah.
Then it now makes you pity that kid. You're just like, man, so now we're going to judge the 20-year-old you. You know, no one is stopping to give attention to this 5-year-old
you, bro.
that just wanted attention from his parents. You know, and they were too busy fighting each other. You know, like he asked them to be together. He didn't sign up for this.
No, bro.
You know,
You didn't ask to be here.
bro. And I was just like, man, there's so many moving parts, but at the end of the day, you're gonna account
Got it, bro.
for the parts that you know you are accountable for.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like, yo, man, fatherhood is just like it's a lot, bro.
Bro, you've kind of
Said a lot.
touched on the truth of some learned behaviors, being empathetic towards, you know, grandfather, dad, you, but taking responsibility now and actively so for your own kids.
Yeah.
So maybe we could go back and, you know, this half of this chat kind of run through those generations.
Yeah.
You know, earlier on you spoke about obviously, you know, our great grandparents being presented with the shiny thing, but being empathetic to that, you know. And I remembered that forgot what this actual law was called, but it was like a homestead or land tax that Africans were required to pay because we didn't trade with coin, we traded with animals. The government said we're not taking animals. So then it forced them to go to the mines so that they can get coin. And so they weren't initially going to the mines because it was like, oh, there's this shiny thing that's going to give us wealth. But it was like, yeah, man, these people don't want my chickens.
Yeah.
And so, and they forced us now to pay this tax. And I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
So I need to go work, get this coin, come back. But then you get there and you realize, man, these taxes they keep going up.
Yeah.
And I'm getting paid peanuts here.
Yeah.
So I need to stay longer to make more of this coin so I could pay. And then eventually, you know, they give you containers full of alcohol and that's your only entertainment for the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, while some people are playing golf.
It's war.
Some people are playing other things and then you never go back home, right?
Yeah.
So I think just being empathetic in that regard and realizing that, even our great-grandparents just didn't wake up to some extent,
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but to some extent, and if we just take that they had their best interest in mind for themselves, for their families, for us, future generations, they didn't just wake up and willy-nilly decide, I'm going to just ruin my legacy.
Yeah.
So the tight spots that they were in, very hard conversations they had to have with themselves, with how the world was set up for them, et cetera, and we can acknowledge all of that, And I think because of that, I'm like, walk us through just some of the things you now finding out about your grandpa, stuff that might have affected your dad, how you're empathetic towards those men, taking in what you've learned, but also saying, see, this is going to be different for my sons. It's going to be a different thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does that all work, bro?
Look, I mean, it's a lot also because, and look, man, I also had to check myself with that comment that I made.
Yeah.
Because I realized that it was probably more charged than it needed to be. And that's because...
Understandably so.
Yeah. That's because for me, it hit home, so I feel like there's that element where the more you find out, the angrier you get, man. Yeah, man, I've just been struggling also just like with, just like white folk in general, because I'm just like, man, life could have looked different had you not done what you've done.
Sure.
And for me, it's like, yeah, you can't undo it, but just the knowledge is not enough sometimes to help. Perspective, context. Sometimes it's not enough, So I mean, I guess with my granddad, the one thing I guess learned, maybe not even like recently, but it's just that obviously now I'm asking more questions because it's intentional.
Yeah.
So my granddad had 3 wives, like official wives, right? Which was my dad's mom, and then 2 other sister wives, right? And I guess back then they didn't really view it like that. It's just like one big family.
Sure.
My numbers are off, but let's say, just to get the math, like let's say maybe he had about, amongst those 3 wives, has, let's say, about 20 something kids.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Squad.
I mean, with my dad's mom, it's the eldest, Paul Freddy, Paul Enasi, Paul Biosi, Edouardi, my dad, Anne Rosie. Then there was a lady aunt that ran away to Mozambique, a soldier. And then the youngest, so
you got
8.
stories, Doc.
There were 8, yeah. Shame. And then my dad, he spent a couple of years of his adult life looking for her.
Wow.
And, spent a lot of his money.
Wow.
Which I resented at some point. But then when I got older, I was just like, what would I do if my sister ran away? But anyway, yeah, that's 8 from 1.
Yeah.
So let's say that's the average.
8,
so
8,
we're
8.
already at 24.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And those were like obviously the official wives. Then there are others, that he had.
So more than 20 kids.
Yeah, way more. His eldest child, so Papa Hulu Fred, he has, like, when he passed away, I think the my cousins that were standing like there as children that were still alive, I think they were 21.
Wow.
Yeah. And those are the ones from his official wives.
Wow.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, bro, it's a big family.
That's a massive family.
Yeah.
Bro. Yeah.
And a lot of my uncles have, like, more than one
Sure.
wives, like 2 wives, 3 wives.
Yeah.
4 kids, 5 kids
Sure.
each. So it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they they moved. Oh, like the history is also. So my granddad is buried in. I could make a mistake, but one of the two. My grandmother is it's either my grandmother who's buried in Mozambique and the other one's buried in Zim, or the other way around, because they were moving, and they died along the way.
Sheesh.
Yeah, man. But like, also, I think the biggest thing was just learning now the kind of person he was, and like it was just like a very harsh man.
What does that do to you as a husband when you think about that? I know you're a son, you're a grandson.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess for me, it put a lot of stuff in perspective.
Sure.
And like I said, it helped me develop a lot of empathy for my dad. Bro, like when my dad passed, like, yeah, I mean, I'm sad I lost a father. Like, I was not coping. But being at that funeral, bro, like, I was so sad because just listening to how many people were broken by his passing, like learning all the things that he was doing for people, like things I didn't know.
Wow.
Like people were like coming up and saying things like, yeah, he took me to school, he did this, he paid for this, he got me this, like the most generous.
Was it different with you guys?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Right? I realized that what happened in my house was that at some point I discovered my dad's infidelity kind of messed with my relationship with him. And I feel like there was a lot of, because obviously my mom is also in pain from that, like I remember the one time when I was telling her I want to get married or whatever, and she made a comment. It stuck with me, man. Like she was just like, yeah, just pray about stuff, like it's a very big decision. You need to pray about it. Don't be like us who went around just picking up things, Like
that's loaded, bro.
Now that I'm old, I know that it's pain.
Yeah.
I know that all came from a place of pain.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, learning also like how my grandfather was. He was like a womanizer, and he was that guy, and then the older siblings, like just looking at the track record, that learned behavior, that it became like the lifestyle.
Sure.
It's like, oh, okay, polygamous households, it's not a thing, but then even outside of the official wives, there's still like children all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's celebrated.
Yeah.
In my family, it's celebrated. Children, like there's nothing like a bastard child.
Yeah.
Like they celebrate, oh yeah, we found a child that belongs to him.
We found.
Yeah, or the child came looking for him.
Jeez.
And it's a big thing. It's celebrated, and I kind of understand coming from that context why you'd celebrate that, but the problem is that I didn't grow up in that context. I didn't grow up in the village, and it was very difficult for me, and that's what severed our relationship. To the point where I didn't really know who my dad was.
Sure, bro.
Now I'm finding things out now that he's dead. And I'm just like, that is so sad, bro. Because I see myself in him so much. And I'm just like, man, there's a lot that he could have helped me with, helped me have like better perspective. That's another thing, right, about you children. Like all children live in a different household.
Yeah.
Right. And have different parents. I listened to this guy who was talking about how, no parent is the same to each child because your children are different.
They're different, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
And so even if you've got like 3 kids, they all have different like things, personalities, characters, genes that they've picked up from you. And so some of them will pick up more of your habits, your bad habits. Others won't.
Yeah.
because they're just not inclined the way you are, right? And that's why it's like, even with this generational curse, like even if it's drunkardness, it might not, like there might be 4 kids in the house and maybe 2 are complete drunks.
Yeah.
The others are completely different, right? But a lot of the time when you like look into it, they will maybe like resemble a lot more similar characteristics to
the dad,
where they get the curse from, right? You know, so it's like, man, it's such a, and then it's so easy to be like, why can't you be like that other one?
Yeah.
Why are you picking up his bad habits? You know, as if I chose the genetic makeup. I chose to be like him. I chose to be this violent. It's like, why are you abusing your wife?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, what do you mean? I used to watch you get beat.
Yeah.
But why
What
didn't
do
you
I
turn
know?
out like your brother who doesn't? You know, because we are not the same person.
Yeah.
I picked it up. It's not like I want to.
Sure.
No child looks at that and says, I want to be that. Sometimes it's the trying to run away from it that actually brings you.
Yeah.
Like, because you're so focused on
On
that
it.
thing.
On it.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to be it. I don't want to be it. That you actually circle
Becoming
around
it.
back and you become it fully.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, it's just like, man, just also understanding that there's so many moving parts, you know? And I guess now, last couple of years, it's also just been the weight of the responsibility and realizing that, man, I love these kids, man. Like, all I want is for them to do better than me,
Sure.
you know?
Sure.
Like, there's this me, my soul.
Yeah.
It's like a cartoon. The guy's giving his child a lunch pack.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you know what? In the future, when you talk to your therapist, please tell them that I cut the corners of the crusts of the corners like you like it. You know, because it's like, there's no avoiding.
You're going to damage them at some level.
Some damage, and
Yep.
but it's like, man, can it be better than me?
Yeah.
Can they move further than me?
Sure.
And I think for me, all this stuff, the context, you know, learning the stories, listening to my dad talk about like how he was like number 1 in his class. And then he got a scholarship from the other guy who was like number 2. And then his older brother was just like, man, you ain't going to study at Wits, bro. There's a job there at Igoli Gas.
Sheesh.
And he took him to Igoli Gas, right
Wow.
next to Wits where he was supposed to study.
Wow, bro.
And how that guy is now a doctor, you know, and how his life just turned out completely different.
From that one decision.
You know, from that one decision.
Sheesh.
That, hey, you are not doing this, you are doing this. My father had stories for days, bro. Like, he was just like, yeah, I used to work at some farm and I lived in this, they had an empty, like, caravella thing where the dog used to stay. And then they also had blankets for us to sleep in there. Bro, and I'm just like, man, I'm so far removed from that.
Yeah.
You know, I know nothing about that level of suffering.
Yeah.
You know, but that
Sheesh,
man
bro.
has to be my dad.
Yeah.
And no one is there to guide him
Yeah.
on how, after all of that trauma, this is how you show up.
And be a dad.
Bro, like,
Sure.
where I come from, there's like what's this? An army base just outside Skito. You know, and I remember speaking to some of the guys that are like there, you know, and they would speak about how their dads would get called to like duty.
Sure.
You know, it's like 5 special forces. It's duty. It's the real. It's war. So they're peacekeepers. Go there. They are in war. They have war stories, bro.
Wow.
And it's like war stories, like, man, carrying my friend's insides.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, how do you return? How does that person who's
Come
that
home.
traumatized, you know, come home
Take you
and
to a soccer
take
game
you
and
to
just be like,
yeah.
Sean
Then you just
Jayaka.
want to look at him and said, you sat and did nothing while I was playing rugby on weekends. You could have come and watched me, you know. And there's no empathy, there's no context, right?
Yeah.
And it's difficult getting to the context. And even when you get the context, sometimes you're overwhelmed by the pain that you are in, the disappointment that it doesn't matter to you. But it's like the older you get, the more context you create for yourself.
Sure.
The more you understand things.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, I get you, my nigga.
Get you, bro.
I get you, my nigga, now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
I see the cases that are flaring up all over me. And I get you.
But as a husband, as a father, I see you, bro.
I see you. I can see it now. You know?
Bro.
And I think for me, that's, man, like, there's nothing like empathy, you know? And empathy is not to like absolve responsibility.
Hundreds. And that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
What has helped you make better decisions, bro? Different decisions, you know, and better is probably very relative, you know, in some sense, considering the ingredients they had, considering the context they lived in, considering some of the exposure they had, who their elders were. So better is very relative. But what makes you make different decisions that would set up your kids to be better husbands?
Yeah.
Later.
Bro, I think I won't even lie. A lot of it was probably seeing what my absence did to my wife.
Sure.
Right? Because that's the thing, right? It's like,
sure,
we justify absence when it's, I'm working, you know, and there was a job I was at that was just like so demanding. It was overtime, working till the AM.
Sure,
we'll knock off at 2 a.m., come back at 8, you know, and work on weekends. But what happened is that I just became absent.
Yeah.
But
I'm working for you.
I'm working for you, for my family.
Yes.
You know. And then I saw like her carry that burden. And then she got to a place where she's just like, man, I actually don't want no more kids.
Sheesh.
You know?
Yeah.
And just the thought that I could actually have been the one to cause this because of my absence, you know? And it's sad because I'm just like, that's the job I had.
Yeah.
You know, and we needed the money. And that's
that
where
was your
you start
mind.
understanding that when I'd ask myself, my dad moved to Pretoria in 2001.
Sure.
He was in Pretoria till he retired in 2016.
Sure.
15 years.
Yeah.
Bro, and I'm just like, how do you move away from your family? In the beginning, it was like, come back every other weekend, then once a month, then once every 2 months. Because it's far. It makes no sense.
Sheesh,
you know?
bro.
But I guess, like I said, my relationship with him was also a bit severed. So even when I moved this side, the guy would be in Pretoria and I'd see him at home.
Wow. And now you live 30 minutes away.
Oh, bro, right here. And sometimes he'd call and he'd be like, I'm in Joburg. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm in class. And I'm at the SS chilling.
You're chilling, bro.
Doing nothing. You know, and those are things now that I think about and I'm just like, man, that was so stupid.
Yeah.
But I guess, you know, that's where I was.
Bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, bro, I think seeing all of that, yeah, man, that really pushed me also. As in, I guess, you know what, all that to say that it wasn't like some epiphany that hit me. It was just the consequences that I started seeing. You know, and I was kind of forced into it, you know. And I also realized that the thing about habits is that, like, whether good or bad, you get used to your habits.
No, hundreds.
Right?
Hundreds.
So now I take my kids, the kids have soccer. So my life revolves around them now, sort of. Like, yeah, even like the kind of jobs I consider, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, because I take them everywhere, like in terms of school.
Yeah.
Well, extracurricular. So they have soccer on Mondays. They've got chess on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Soccer on Tuesdays also. Wednesdays, they've got games for the school soccer. They do school and club soccer.
Yeah.
They do extracurriculars at this other school, you know. And I go to the soccer practice and I'm that guy who sits at practice, bro, and watches my kids practice. And
Sure.
I actually now I find pleasure in that stuff, bro.
Sure.
You won't make plans with me on a Saturday morning because my boys have games.
Yeah.
And I like going to their games,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But there was a time where I wouldn't be caught doing that.
Sure.
Right? Those were the habits then.
Yeah.
But it's like you can create new habits. And some things, it's not that you don't like them, you just don't know them.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't know that I would get so much fulfillment from showing up for my kids the way I do now. And I'm just like, man, this is actually really dope. And I still don't feel like I'm doing enough. Because I know my life and I know the gaps and I know that I could do more and I don't. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not where I want to be.
Sure, bro.
I'm further than where I was, but I'm just like, man, I still have them for a few more years, man. I can still fix this.
Yeah. That's dope, bro.
Yeah,
And that's the thing that gets to me, because I'm like, I don't think that our grandparents, our dads did not get any epiphanies. I think they did.
Yeah.
However God's grace worked in their lives, they got some epiphanies.
Yeah.
But they made the decisions they made.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what's your drive, bro? When you get the epiphany that, smack, I see what happened in the past. I can see how this thing can lead to a different outcome in the future.
Yeah.
Why am I going to take a left now instead of a right?
I guess also for me, bro, it was seeing myself. So children are like this out of body experience.
Sure.
I always say, I understand why people try to relive their lives through their kids, because you see yourself and you're just like, man, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. And I can rewrite history.
Yeah.
So I started looking at my kids and especially the younger one, and seeing certain behaviors, man, he just be lazy, not be keen to do things. And I was just like, man, I don't want to be the one to reinforce these behaviors. I want him to feel out of place when doing some of these things. You wanna. I want you to feel out of place when you're dishonest in my home. So you can go do it, but know that I'm out of place when I do it here. When I talk back, when I'm rude, when I'm unkind.
Sure.
I want you to feel out of place when I don't want to share, I don't want to be generous. But then you need to do it for them to feel out of place.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And that's, for me, I guess probably it, where I was just like, because kids are very direct.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, but you said.
Yeah.
You said we can't do this. Now you're doing this.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yes, you can justify it, and no, you and I are not the same. But sometimes you actually have no.
Yeah, bro.
The biggest fight I have with my kids is seatbelt. And I realize that when they get into my wife's car, they put on their seatbelts.
Yeah. But
when they get into mine,
drive with you.
The older one puts on the
You're
seatbelt.
thuggish.
He's more like my wife.
Yeah.
He's like a systems guy.
Yes.
He's got systems, procedures.
Yeah.
He knows enter a car, put on a seatbelt.
Yeah.
That's his mind. That's my wife's mind. The other one is like me. Take chances. If I can get away with it, I get away with it.
Thuggish.
So once he enters my car, he chills.
He probably even sits like this.
Yeah, and then I'm like, put on your seatbelt. Then he'll be like, yours is not on, bro. And that's because mine is never on. And now it's forcing me to okay, you also tell me then. And that's what because he's always trying to prove.
Yes.
Yeah. So now he'll get into the car and he'll be like, put on your seatbelt.
Yeah.
But he's putting on his. And then I'll have to be forced to put on mine.
Come on, bro.
But I mean, it's not having double standards.
That's
And avoiding double standards forces you to do the work.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, bro. That's me. I was just like, man, I'm messed up. And I don't want my kid to be here.
Yeah.
Because I'll know wherever I am that I played a part.
That's you, dog. Yeah.
And the thing is, the consequences are not nice, bro.
No.
Like when you are messing up relationships, messing up marriages, the consequences are never nice, you know. And even when the people are no longer there who helped you with these bad habits, now they're not there. You're there by yourself, you know, and you're accounting there.
Sure, bro.
You're there at the pearly gates by yourself,
bro,
having to account, right? And I guess for me, it's just like, man, if I say I love my kids, I need to help them out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not enough to say, oh man, I'm going to save up for my kids, make sure they set. And they set financially, but not emotionally.
Character-wise, yeah.
No character, nothing.
Nothing, bro.
You know, because it all matters. But the problem is that character, like, kids learn from what they see. You say whatever you want to say, bro.
They'll pick up what you do.
They pick up your habits.
Yeah.
You know, so even the other day, I was just like to my kids, guys, so like they're getting pretty good at soccer, you know, and I'm just like, man, let me not be that guy who's not investing in my kids. You know, if I can recognize they're doing well, you know. So I'm like to them, yeah. So first I had a chat with my wife. I'm like, yeah, I want to buy cones, do this. And then she's like, yeah, we've been having this chat, bro. Like, when it happens, it'll happen. Yeah. You know, and I was just like, snap, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, but fair. It's like she's no longer as excited as she was the first time I said it.
Because you're not buying the cones.
Because I'm not doing the things.
Yeah.
Right? So then I had a chat with them. I was like, guys, I'm going to buy cones. You guys are going to start doing drills in the morning. Yeah. You know? And then he's like, alone. And I remember my wife, when I said it to her, she was like, are you going to wake up and do the drills with them? Yeah. And I'm like, no, they don't need me there. Yeah. So now when I was telling the kids, and then the other one's like, alone. Yeah. And in my head, I was just like, yo. But I know that I can get away with that. Yeah. I can put a rule down. Yeah. And they'll have to follow the rule. Yeah. But the best thing would be for me to
be there, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
Because then they are learning.
Yeah.
Like that I'm waking up too.
Come on.
You know?
Come on.
Like, so it's always like, you know, there's the best option and then there's the option that you can get away with doing. Yes. You know? So I was just like, man, maybe I shouldn't buy those cones until I'm also ready to wake up. You know, and do the drills.
That's real, bro.
Because it's a real thing, bro.
It's real.
So yeah, man, I think it's that's probably the biggest driver. Just seeing the consequence and seeing that, sharks, man, there's also positive consequence, right? Like when you put in the work and you actually see that, sharks, man, this one is getting better at this. You know, this one is more generous now, or he's a bit less lazy, or he's a bit more open to like sharing, you know, and then you're just like, man, it's not easy, but it's years of saying the same thing.
Come on, bro.
That's parenting.
Yep.
It's years of saying the same thing. Hopefully it will become reflex at some point.
Yeah.
But then you realize that the inverse is true. Years of not doing a good thing becomes reflex at some point.
Yep.
And then now it's going to take them years
to undo it. Because they have to trace first.
Yes. First, they need to figure out what is it.
Sheesh.
Something is not right.
Sheesh.
And then it's like, oh, all I wanted were hugs from my mother.
Yeah.
And
all I needed was my dad to wake up and do the drills with me.
Yeah. That's all I wanted. But the nigga didn't.
Yeah.
And therefore, I'm a bum.
Yeah. Sheesh, bro.
You know, and as much as you are going to account for that bum, for being that guy, like, that's the thing also. You never stop parenting because I see it with like family as well. It's like your children's bad habits are always going to be your responsibility.
1,000.
You know, so there he is. He's a 30-year-old that's not getting his act together.
Yeah.
You know, who's coming to rescue him? You, bro. You know, so it's also like, you know what? It's an investment.
Yeah. So that you can have peace later.
So you can have peace. Because if you don't do it, there's no peace.
You're going to pay later, bro.
Yeah, look.
Pay now so you don't pay then.
Yeah, look.
Nah, I hear you, bro. This is dope, man. This has been encouraging, man. It went in all sorts of directions.
Yeah. Look.
But it was informative, reflective, refreshing, sobering, perspective shaping. You know, and I think it's worth just pausing, especially for husbands who are fathers, you know, to pause and think about what legacy we're leaving, right?
Yeah.
You know, to your definition, don't be your child's generational curse, man.
Yeah, look.
But be a good habit forming and shaping father who will reap the good benefits of you know, kids and future generations speaking of you very well, and learning, you know, from your failing forward, taking accountability, and showing up, man. So yeah, this was dope, man. Appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you too, bro.
Appreciate you, bro. You know, after this, you have to come back again.
Yeah, no, man. You know me, I don't mind. Just depends on the topic.
You have to come back again, bro.
Yeah, no, bro. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. Thanks for having me also. I made it, bro.
Yeah.
Mama, I made it.
Yeah. That is this.
I feel validated.
Those post traumas you need to deal with.
Yeah, look, I'm just like, all of you who thought I wouldn't make it. Look at me now.
You got the yellow stamp there.
Look at me now.
Come on, bro. I appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Dope, man. This has been a dope episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. And really not enjoying the sense of just, you know, having fun, but really like you really got stuff to think about, stuff that you're going to implement in your own life. Have conversations with your wife, have conversations with your husband, have conversations with, you know, the person that you're in a relationship with, so that you can be having, tough chats now that will obviously impact how you parent, how you do marriage, and how that's going to shape, you know, your future generation and the legacy that you leave. Man, hope this was really beneficial in that sense. From us here at That Husband Podcast, just again, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. A lot of people who watch this, at least now, I think it's like 50-50. So 50 people who watch, 50% of people who watch this are not subscribed. So please do subscribe. And within that 50%, there's like 75% or something of you that haven't hit the notification bell. So do hit the notification bell so that you're updated on all the episodes that we drop every Wednesday at 11:30. So that you, let's just follow up with the conversations and always, you know, at the same pace with us. And don't forget to buy us a coffee. And don't forget to, just support the work that we're doing here. See you on the next episode on the flip side. All right. Peace.
Back to the bigger picture, right? If you think of how abuse works, it's about me building my kingdom and meeting my needs, having my needs met. That means I'm going to make sure that the person who feeds into my kingdom is always going to be there.
Leave.
Yeah. I'm going to make sure they can't leave. Or at least they believe they can't leave, right? Otherwise you lose your kingdom. And if that's what your purpose in life is, that's quite a problem if the person leaves.
Wow.
This is why you have... If a victim leaves a marriage and they maybe go back again, the perpetrator makes sure it's harder for them to leave a second time and a third time, and it can end in violence.